Hello, Paso Verde scholars. Today I'm going to share with you a new platform that we will be using in the classroom. It's called Nearpod, and you can go to the Nearpod website and check out some information on Nearpod. But there's two ways that teachers will possibly share the Nearpod with you. And Nearpod you can think of like a notebook full of materials. Now, in class, normally you would be reading an article, then watching a short movie, then maybe making a poster or something like that. Think of Nearpod kind of like a notebook. You're keeping all of that together in a digital format. So Nearpod helps us to do that. And there are two ways that we can do Nearpod. One is called the student-paced lesson. That's where you can do that on your own, and students are in control of the slides. And the second way is the live lesson. And today I'm going to show you the student-paced lesson. I made a Nearpod tutorial for a student-paced lesson, and students can go through it and click on the slides and be in control of that. But there is a way for teachers to go through and teach this live, which is something they will probably end up doing. So the one way to access Nearpod is through a 5-letter code. So teachers might be using the 5-letter code, or they can embed it right into their Google Classroom, which is what I did here. So that's why I was on my Google Classroom. In the Google Classroom, they can have an assignment that's linked directly to their Nearpod. Now this one, again, like I said, is student-paced, but you can also have ones that are live. So on days when we're Zooming and we said we're going to have a Nearpod code, please click on this code, they would go to here, or they can find it directly in the classroom. So if I click on that, it's going to take me in, and it's going to ask me to write my name. So I would like for scholars, when they log in, to make sure that they have their first and last name. That way I know who is responsible for the work, and they get credit for their time that they're spending there. So I'm going to join this session real quick and show you some of the features of what Nearpod has to offer. The very first one is the slide feature, and this would be where teachers would put in important information. Basically, it might have a picture or some kind of words, some kind of text in there that the teachers really want to highlight. So if they were doing a live lesson, they could be putting a slide up and just talking about the slide. So really, this is just like a single slide, and they can teach through that way, or they can have students read. The second feature is called open-ended question. With this, scholars are going to go in and they're going to be asked an open-ended question like, what is your favorite subject in school? So they can write, my favorite subject is science. Now when they press submit down at the bottom, that gets shared with the teacher, and then the teacher can choose to share answers or not to share answers, but it does remain private until the teacher publishes it. So then they press submit. The second slide is a matching slide. There can be many different things that we could do here. I made a matching slide with words and pictures. At the top, it'll show a description of what you want to do. Match the picture with the word that describes it. And then you would get rid of the directions so you could see all the cards. And so for instance, we have the Paso Verde Puma. So I could click on that, and I would want to match it with its description, Paso Verde Puma. It tells them, yes, that's great. You match those two pairs, and then they would go ahead and match the other pairs. Now, scholars can go in and practice this with the code that I provided in the classroom. So I don't want to give away all the answers here, but this is also one of the features that I wanted to show. Another feature is called the quiz. With the quiz, scholars are given a certain number of questions. They're asked to identify certain, or they're supposed to give their answers here. These are all multiple choice. So for instance, they would put in a grade, the name of their school. I made this one very simple just for the fact that it is an example, the mascot of the school, and the name of the principal. Then at the end, after they submit, they get to see their final answers and what percentage they got. So I got 100% correct there. The next feature is Flipgrid. Now, teachers can link Flipgrids in there. All the students would have to do is to click in and log in with Google, and then they'll be able to access that particular Flipgrid. If you come to this Nearpod and you're going through the Nearpod, I have a Nearpod in there called All About Me Bag, which scholars are welcome to try. It's a fun little activity, but teachers can also attach Flipgrids. So that might be a possibility on one of the Nearpod lessons. Another one is called Draw It. In Draw It, teachers can have kids make posters or write on top of a document to show their answers. There's lots of different possibilities here, but this one I said make a poster all about you. You can include pictures, drawings, and sticky notes. So I'm going to get rid of the directions there and show you some of the features here. Down at the bottom, you have a drawing tool. You can make it whatever color you want. You can make it the size that you want, thinner or thicker. So let's say since this is all about me, I will just write Mrs. Antiso here. Now this takes a little while to manipulate if you're hand drawing things in. There is another feature for typing in. So if I go down here, I have the text feature. So this text feature will bring up a text box. I could say, hello, my name is Mrs. Antiso. They can add more to their biography here if they want to, since it's all about them, but there is the text feature that they can type with. Another feature is the highlighter. If they wanted to highlight something, they could use that feature. There's also a picture feature they can look up on Google, something that interests them, maybe like scrapbooking, something I like to do. So I can pick up any of these pictures and put them into my presentation if I save. So I could put this up in the corner. I could resize it. I could pick another picture like school because I'm a teacher. So I could put a picture of a schoolhouse. So there's lots of things that can be added to this board. It's like a collage or a poster, but this is the drawing feature. The next one is called the collaboration board. In this one, the teacher would pose a question. So what would you like for your teacher to know about you? You could write, I like science. Give something about themselves that they want to share. And then if this is a live lesson, once the kids press post and I approve, their posts show up on the board like that so we can share and collaborate and work together on that. They would see a bunch of sticky notes on top here, and we can share and talk about that while we're on Zoom if it's a live lesson. If it's not a live lesson, then it will show up as I approve it. So scholars could come back to the lesson and see what other scholars had put as well. So this is a kind of a fun feature. It's called collaboration board. The next one is a poll. In the poll, scholars would write down the answer to whatever question is posed. For instance, this one just says favorite color. So they'd pick any of their favorite color. Once they submit it, then they would see the results. In this case, mine are the only results, and I would have to approve it. The next one is fill in the blank. For fill in the blank, they have some text there, and they're asked to choose from the bank below. So our school's name is Paso Verde. Okay, so they would put in all the words. This one's really simple, but teachers might put in a larger text. So just so you know, this is called the fill in the blanks. The next one is called a memory test. It's just like playing memory. You can put pictures in there or text or something else that the scholars would need to look at, and then they would need to match it with its match. So for instance, I have a book and the word school. Okay, so I found 2 school pictures. So then they would go ahead and try to match all the pictures here. That's an option if they're trying to do some kind of matching game or matching activity. The next feature on there is called Time to Climb. Now this is like a quiz, but it is against their teammates, and they're making a climb up this wall. It's like a little game they can play. They get to choose what character they want to be. They answer certain questions. So our school name is Paso Verde. I got that correct. So then I make my way up the wall. Then I could go to the next question. What grade are you in? Since I teach fourth, I chose fourth. And then they make their way out the wall again. So it's kind of like a little contest. And then they would see their classmates as well throughout this game as they were climbing the wall too. So that's time to climb. Another feature of Nearpod is the video component, and in that feature, teachers can put in any kind of video that they want to, having to do with the lesson they're teaching for the day. I chose to put in the video that I found on YouTube about the new Paso Verde school. So if scholars are doing this as a sample, they're welcome to watch this video again. It's straight off of YouTube, but teachers can share videos. Another one is to share web content. So for instance, if I wanted them to go to IXL, for instance, when I go to the next slide, it'll automatically take them to the sign-in sheet or the login area, and they would have to put in their password, and maybe I would assign them to do some problems on IXL. So there is a way to directly link it to another website that they could work on. They would have to click this link right here to open the web page. So I accidentally clicked that. But once they get in, they would do the assignment that the teacher said. It's web content. The next one, they have 3D simulations. So this is a hydroelectric dam. So if we were learning about hydroelectricity, they could look at what it looks like in 3D. Another feature is called interactive simulations, and there's all different kinds of little games and activities they can do in there. I chose multiply since fourth grade does multiply. They would just click on whatever the task is, and this one is just practicing simple multiplication facts they'd have to answer, and then they could check their answer. So that is another feature. The next slide shows another type of simulation here or a picture, and this one is kind of a 3D mode. They can zoom in and zoom out so they can see features of it. They can also enter this vision, and they could turn it around and sideways and look at it from different perspectives. So I could turn it around and look all around for the Golden Gate Bridge here. So a 3D view of certain locations. So that would be good if we were learning about certain places. There's also lots of different things for teachers to choose from that they could use for their lesson bank. So this is an interesting feature. That's my cursor there. All right, the next one is called Sway. In Sway, there's different kinds of presentations that are put into a library that teachers can choose from. This particular one was on Cesar Chavez. As they scroll through, there's some things that they can click on to read more about. There's activities that go with it, like a class activity or a think, pair, share. So these are just short presentations on people, could be on animals or different topics. So this is what we call Sway. Those can be included. Also, we can include a slideshow. All the panels of the slideshow will show up on the side here. This one only had 5, and I put in the slideshow for Zoom directions for kids. They're welcome to read through some of these if they want to learn more about using Zoom. And if they're using Nearpod and Zoom together for a live lesson, they're going to need to understand how to use Zoom properly. And I'll have some more videos that I will share about using Zoom, as well as how to split screen, because you can use Nearpod as a split screen. You have half of the screen with Nearpod up and half of it with the Zoom, and we can be talking about the lesson together, and it can be live. This one is a PDF. Teachers can upload a PDF into it, and if scholars click on it, it will automatically go into their download, and they can open up whatever that PDF is. In this case, mine was Science in a Bag. Fun little activity if anybody wants to try that. So in a nutshell, that is what is our new platform that we're going to be trying out, called Nearpod. Has a lot of great features, a lot of things that we can do live, and things that we can also do at student pace. I hope this was helpful for you, and have a great day.